You are watching an MLGA Network live broadcast. The only people for me are the mad ones.
The world is filled with the boring and the barely conscious.
The misery loves company.
But we don't have to live this way.
Jessica and I are here to talk to those the system rejects, to radicals and thought criminals.
The ones who never yawn or say a commonplace thing, but push the boundaries of acceptable discourse.
Those who stare reality in the face and dare it to be different.
History isn't made by the timid, and fun is not had by the perpetually afraid.
We are the mad ones.
So let's get to it.
Welcome to the Mad Ones. I'm your searing hot tar salesman host, Cam Harless, and with me as always is your artisanal feather gatherer and seller hostess, Miss Jessica Green. How are you doing, Jessica?
I'm wonderful. How do you do? I have tea. I have to say British things.
I have a Mountain Dew live wire, which I'm so happy to have run into again. And I'm sure both you and Dent in the background right now are going, don't drink that crap, Cam. But this is from my childhood, and it's so worth it.
So if I have to have a British accent to drink tea, you have to... Oh, you're already in Florida, so that works out.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm set.
Right.
I just need to go mudding. That's all.
Right.
Before we bring in our very esteemed guest, I do want to say a special thank you to those, he's one of them, who makes this show possible. So that's ZenPro Audio, Burgett Dev Services, Lorenzotti Coffee. Use the promo code The Mad Ones, and of course, the best 60-second podcast of all time, OPSEC Drip. And with that, joining us tonight is the very best mutual you can have on the Twitter machine, a benefactor to the voices of freedom, subversion, and good times. A man who's helped make this show what it is and inspires me to be a better man day by day. So welcome the man, the legend, the microphone salesman to the stars, Dent, a.k.a. Dent in the World.
Oh, man, I got to go. I can't follow that. How you guys doing?
Really good. Glad to be here.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, he does those, and they get progressively longer every time. And so the embarrassment of the person he's giving them to, ever grows. And I think that's his private joy.
Right. Dude, you mentioned that this Mountain Dew is from your childhood. And I'm like, when the hell was that? Yeah.
Oh, okay. So
I sure don't remember it.
I'm 32.
Okay.
So this was from middle school, really. I say childhood, but it was really middle school.
Yeah.
Mountain Dew decided they were going to make an orange flavor, and it's the best orange soda.
Wow.
I'll put my name behind that. Not a sponsor.
Wow.
So
is it like orange soda with a ton of caffeine, as the delicious Dew is known for?
I never check. I'm sure it is, but it has that little bit of the extra citrus, so it's not pure orange. So it elevates it, I think, in a very nice way.
Right.
So it's funny, as I was thinking about this, the last episode you were on was the first episode we did as the Mad Ones.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
So we're coming full circle.
Yep. Absolutely. 100
is just around the corner. You were episode 96.
Wow. Okay. Huh. So so you know what? That means that this episode is nice depending on where you're standing in the bedroom.
True.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's the feminist 69. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I did not pick up on that at all. I guess I've really gone far away from my feminist roots at this point.
I'm just proud that we got a nice out of it. It's awesome.
One thing I need to mention up front is we have actually swapped up kind of our whole deal and how we host things. We're not finished with all the back end yet, but we have actually moved all of our archives to Rockfin. And that is a really cool setup because it's kind of like the Netflix for podcasters. And so if you like Sam Tripoli, Monica Perez, Cernovich is on there. So is Scott Adams. But if you like that, if you sign up on our link and any of them, you get all of their stuff as well. So it's not just you get mine and Monica's exclusive stuff. And so if you want to listen to any of the stuff we've worked on, you get all of our old stuff. Also, I need to release that special episode that didn't stay on YouTube at some point.
So that's the cool thing about Rockfin is that you do get the episodes that YouTube tends to remove or look down on. Right. For example, Jimmy Dore is on there. I'm a pretty big fan, and he's had several episodes removed by YouTube. You can get them all there. And so that's kind of an awesome alternative market. As
well as Odyssey. We're on several things that on a couple of things where we're not going to be canceled on.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a little behind, but I signed up from Odyssey and hadn't really paid attention to it before your show last week. And so I went ahead and signed up. So I'm kind of cruising around and looking for stuff. The first thing that like tripped me out was like, what's the first thing you have to look for when you're looking for people who are banned? You have to look for Alex Jones. And I looked up and I found Alex Jones InfoWars, and the guy hasn't posted anything on there in 5 months. And I'm like, what is Alex doing?
Well, he has like band.videos or something.
He
does.
He
has his own little setup, but he should be on there.
Right. I don't know why he wouldn't just automatically upload to there as well. So it's a little weird.
Tim Pool does.
Yeah, Tim does. I saw Tim on there very quickly. So yeah, I'm starting to gather a few channels to follow on there. So yeah, God bless those guys.
That's awesome. Yeah. I just think it's wonderful. But Jessica had an idea this week. And so
occasionally I have those.
We need to float it to anyone listening, and you'll see it on Twitter later. But we do want more subscribers. So one of the good things you can do, the easiest thing you can do, is hit like and subscribe on YouTube. But starting right now, this minute, if you subscribe to our YouTube, to Odyssey, or to a free Rockfin account, if you do all three, it'll compound, but you'll get a free entry into a raffle for one of our t-shirts.
Free t-shirt contest.
Nice.
So if you do all three, you get your name in there 3 times. But if let's say you're already subscribed, I'm going to take care of you. Okay. Rockfin.com, sign up for the actual, give us your receipts. But if you sign up for a paid subscription to Rockfin, you'll get 3 of your name put in there 3 times.
3 tickets basically in the raffle. So all you have, just make sure if you subscribe to us that you send us a screenshot of yourself, like with the subscribe button lit. And then that basically gives us a ticket for you to be in the free t-shirt contest.
Right. And I'll also see all of this behind the scenes anyway. So I'll verify it.
So we're giving away.
You won it.
5 free t-shirts. There are 5 total to give away, and it can be a t-shirt or a tank. So if you go to our merch link, which is in the description, you can see what's available in our merch shop. I have both t-shirts and tanks, but I prefer the tank. So that's just a personal option there, but you can get either.
And not remind me after, I'll retweet that for you if you send me the link.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Appreciate you.
One more bit of business before we break into the silly stuff that we're going to talk about. Silly being the overall descriptor of the absurdity that's going on in the world. Miss Monica Perez is going to have Jessica and I on one of her disappearing patron parties the first Friday of June. And so she told me that if you join Rockfin, I can send you the link for her secret party that gets deleted from YouTube immediately that Friday. So if you want to join us to get very blue, like what we do on our show with Monica, but in Monica's space, do that.
That's
because
awesome.
I will share a link.
We got to get her on Locals.
She's great.
Yeah.
And she out parties both Cam and I, which is a difficult task. So hats off to Monica.
A lot of energy.
So today, what's his name? David Chipman is the guy who Biden has picked to run the Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms Agency. You know, that happy little group of men and women who killed and burned the people in Waco not that long ago. And allegedly he was there, and allegedly it's on his resume. I don't know about that picture. I don't know if that picture's him. Can't say that. but his resume says he was there.
Right.
So
Yeah.
he's a piece of poop. I'm trying not to curse.
That's a right now.
He's a real
I know.
doo-doo
You don't
man.
want to curse. Jeez. It's insane how little that means to certain people out there. And of course,
Right.
a lot of the clips that I saw being shared were people who were obviously offended by his stances on guns. You know, he's he's signaling, the AR-15 always, tells you what people think about gun control. And there he was. But it's amazing that people don't make a bigger stink about Waco. I mean, it seems like bare minimally, wasn't he involved in sort of helping them get through the Waco situation? And
yeah, he was at least there in some capacity.
Right.
One of the things that today there was a clip of Ted Cruz grilling him, and the first thing he said was, "Thank you, Senator Cruz. I thank you for giving me a Dr. Pepper when I came in today. It reminded me of my time in Central Texas." And I was just like,
Yeah.
bro.
He very well may have the contempt for people that people have for him. So
Yeah.
it's complete from his perspective. It's completely moral and justified to take that kind of a poke.
Well, and he followed up because Ted Cruz asked him, "Would you want to ban the AR-15?" And so the short version of the answer was, "Yes, I want to ban the AR-15, but all I can do is do the laws that are currently on the books." But he wants to take them, which means he's the enemy.
Yeah,
100%.
Right, and it's barely controversial. That's the other side of it. Yeah. Huh.
Well, good luck finding them.
I don't have one.
If you want, right? Who does? They're all gone at the bottom of the sea.
No one owns that kind of thing. It would be insane to let anyone know that you own guns. I mean, it's Jessica keeps telling me, "Don't tell people that what you have." And I'm like, but then I couldn't make my jokes, Jessica.
Right. So interestingly enough, in South Carolina, our governor signed a new law that does a couple of things. It kind of goes halfway to constitutional carry. So the state is still requiring training. Now, I have a concealed carry permit. So what's going to happen is later this year, it will convert to me being able to open carry or conceal carry, no problem. But you do have to have the permit, which means that you have had, a couple hours worth of training. Obviously, I mean, that's not ideal. I get it. But when I'm walking across a dark parking lot, I don't, I'd rather have it on me. And if something happens, I'd rather not be the one that goes to jail. And, but here's what's interesting is that half of the law is dedicated to stating that the state of South Carolina is in no way able to enforce federal gun laws. So again, it's kind of a half a step to constitutional carry. So the state itself will not allow, the federal government can't say, "Oh, well, now here's this," and then South Carolina has to comply to it. They have written down and he has signed into law. Nope, we ignore that. We don't do that. So it is interesting. It's, they found I guess a pretty decent halfway point. I'll take it. Aside from that, I'll never open carry, but it is interesting. I would have hoped that they would have just gone to constitutional carry, but what are you going to do? It's halfway.
Well, and that's the thing. Like Texas is trying to do permitless carry right now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Florida, what the hell's wrong with you? Like, I don't really want to open carry, but the fact that I can't really bugs me.
Correct. Right. Exactly.
Especially because there are laws in Florida about the concealed weapons, which I hate the gun laws in Florida. Like, I don't know how DeSantis is leading the nation with COVID, but crapping the bed with guns right now.
Sure. Right. Yeah. You'd think he'd really be building that base, even just politically speaking.
Right.
You'd
Well, and
think he'd
it's-
really be, pulling that in.
When I was looking into whether or not Florida allows open carry, the first thing that came up was this case where a guy had just bought a gun and he was concealed carrying it, and his shirt came up, and so they considered that open carry and arrested him, and he was guilty. They charged him. He was guilty of open carrying.
Wow.
And so that makes me very unhappy. So I'm pissed at you, DeSantis, over this. Get your shit together. Hi, Kirsten.
Yeah, right. And
Totally watching.
the closest thing to open carry that I ever go, I don't know if you're familiar with the Sneaky Pete holster, but it also it kind of looks like a like an old PDA belt clip. You remember the PDAs? Everybody had their PDA on their back in like the late 90s and early 2000s. So it's about this big. It's really a fairly hard case, and it's got a magnetic close on it so that if you need to creep it open, you're not ripping Velcro behind the guy whose head you might be about to try to blow off. But the
It
Sneaky
looks like
Pete
a
is
cell
very
phone.
cool. It does. It looks kind of big, but I do have a Sneaky Pete that does very well with my 380 and my 32. And I like it if I'm in a situation where, first of all, I'm wearing a belt. It is kind of cool to have that, even if a shirt's hanging over it. It's kind of nice sometimes to get it right there. That's as close to open carry. But that the guy that actually taught the course, right, where I got my permit, he is the guy that hit me to it. He's like, "This is legal conceal," and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I'll buy one." So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is a good product, and they have one in pink.
Oh man, yeah. I think Amazon even has like an excellent selection of the Sneaky Pete stuff. Yeah.
Okay, good to know.
Sneaky Pete just makes me think of the hot dog chain in Alabama. I don't know if y'all know of this, but there's a hot dog chain in Alabama called Sneaky Pete's. And so it's like Sneaky Pete's the way hot dogs should be. And so anytime someone says Sneaky Pete in any other context, which I've heard in a surprising amount of times, I've heard Sneaky Pete and I've been like hot dogs.
Right.
I never ate there because I didn't want the onions and stuff on it, but still.
Isn't there an Amazon series called Sneaky Pete?
I don't
find
know.
out.
Yeah, maybe that's why you're hearing about it.
Let's find out together.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there is.
But
I'm
yeah,
like the Jamie, but I'm slow.
Yeah.
but this is what I was going to say though. Returning to David Chipman, who I swear to God, that man is not a David. He's a Dale if I've ever seen one. That looks like a Dale. Have you ever seen this man's face? When he's not looking like Nick Nolte after a drunken binge, he looks like a dude named Dale.
Wow.
And
I think
don't
I
know
saw
how else to
someone.
describe him.
They said he looked like a Tempur-Pedic mattress.
My gosh, that's great.
Like, when you shove your hand into it and it looks all like malformed. Like, I was like, that's weirdly accurate.
I just misread a comment, and I have a new joke because of that misreading, which is, have you gotten Michael Malice's new book, The Anarchist Handjob, yet?
Oh dear.
Definitely read that one wrong.
What's up with Malice hitting number 2 for all of Amazon? He peaked at number 2. I don't know where he is right now. I bought it on Kindle. I'm gonna wait to do the autograph, copy through his website. But
Right.
yeah, he peaked at number 2.
I didn't. The last I checked, he was at 5, and that was earlier today.
Well, so new releases, he went to number 2.
Yeah, I think he went to number 2 about 2 or 3 days ago. Yeah.
And then I think Mark Levin has beaten him, which is a travesty.
It's
I've
the
ever
number
heard
1
of it.
bestseller on Amazon, you guys. It is the number 1 bestseller on Amazon right now.
Michael is.
Yes.
He's
It's the
actually
number
at
1.
number 1.
So number 1 is the paperback, and number 2 is the Kindle edition. He is occupying both the 1 and 2 spaces at the same time.
And he used no publisher or go-between at all. And on top of that, I have to tell you, he did nothing to really promote the book other than, going on podcasts and talking about it and things and putting it on locals and Twitter and stuff. He's got a lot of guys who are obviously on his side that have talked about it as well, but talk about like almost no promotion.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I think he first had the idea for this book. I think he announced it on Locals like 3 months ago or something.
Yeah, it was not a long time frame at all.
Yeah, and he went from idea to the #1 bestseller and #2 at the same time.
#1 and #2, yeah.
Wow.
Occupying both spaces at the same time. I mean, as a writer, that has to be like a crowning achievement. I mean, I can't imagine.
Yeah, and especially
like getting
the fact
your
that,
laurels.
yeah, I mean, and he purposely cut out the middleman. He just skipped everybody and said, "I'll just do it myself."
And I think he said that the amount of money you get from royalties off of this is like 6 times more than what you get from actually using a publisher.
God bless.
He's going to be able to do a lot more videos where he does nothing but smell expensive candles.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and maybe his townhouse in Austin will get a little bigger. Who knows? Yeah.
But to be fair to that, I watched that entire stream and it was like 2 hours long. And I watched that man smell candles for 2 hours. So.
Some of those are cool. Some of them I had to bail, but yeah.
That was when he followed me on Twitter. Was when I had bought the last $7 of the Gwyneth Paltrow vagina candle.
Oh,
and that was like the last, because you know I'd interacted with him somewhat before, but that was the time was when I was like, I want to know what this vagina smells like. Get that stink
explode. Didn't her vagina candle exploded and someone sued her because her vagina candle exploded? Excuse me, let me look this up.
Yes, there was a story on that probably a couple of months ago.
So someone said that we would be 45 minutes in before we mentioned genitalia, and we're only 22 minutes in, so get your shit together.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Josh, Iowa ANCAP, 22 minutes it took us.
Oh, wow. Yeah, so there's a claim that her $75 candle exploded. Excuse me, if your candle costs $75, it should not explode. No candle should explode.
So, going for Michael Malice, there is something that I thought about talking about that's been, Jessica and I have talked about this a lot, but hero worship and how this has been something that's been like brewing, and there's been so much of it that we've seen, and it eats at me. How do you feel about hero worship, Dent?
Well, the only thing you have to do is find a couple of things to completely wreck that person on a human level, and you've basically taken a concrete block and tied it to the thing that you were hoping that person would help you accomplish. So I suppose once it gets to a certain size, right, can't you find dirt on just about anybody? So
sure.
Seems like a dangerous approach. Sometimes it could just be personality, right?
Yeah.
Like some people just don't want to hear the way a person talks or the way that they say things, you know? I mean, look at Trump. There's so many people that I know here.
Example.
He's a great example of a guy who, you know, let's be honest, Trump did some pretty cool things like cut taxes and regulations and stuff like that. Yet I knew conservatives here in the South that just hated his guts because they couldn't stand that. I guess it was that the whole New York thing, which I think is great. My mom was from Jersey, and I've spent plenty of time up north as well. I thought it was great, and actually liked the personality. But man, he lost a lot of people just on that. So I think Trump is a good example of what that can get you. It's like you really believe in this guy, but he's a huge target.
I've also seen people who really did take worship of Trump to an extreme, to the point where, like, once it was clear that Biden was going to be the next president, they were still like, no, there's going to be a giant coup and all these things, which the insurrection, if you want to call it that, did not help. Right.
Weakest insurrection of all time.
The melee, yeah.
We had a friend who was like a true blue Q person on our Facebook that we were kind of watching during the election. We were like, is she going to kill herself? Like, we didn't know what would become of her. And she just sort of stopped talking about it, never sort of acknowledged it. But she really believed up until like the 12th that somehow Trump was going to like come out. And I'm like, that's
Oh.
faith. That's like godlike faith in something that is
There
clearly
are
not going to.
There are still people who think that Donald Trump is running the country from Mar-a-Lago, and that
Yeah.
Biden is some sort of, I don't know what you even, like a charade, and he's really controlling the country. Like,
I don't know. It's and by the way, if you want to tie what you say that you believe, to a person, Trump got disappeared harder than any person who was at the top than I've ever seen in my entire life. That they have disappeared that guy so effectively that you just don't even really think about the guy, to tell you the truth. And so yeah, there's another reason, like, don't make him your hero.
They messed up with Kennedy and they put a bullet to him and they made him a martyr. And so they can't make martyrs out of, they figured that out. Like, hey, we can't make a martyr out of this guy. So they, basically laughed him into obscurity or scared people into thinking that he was like a fascist, or he was, basically going to do all the things that his supporters truly hoped he was, which was subvert an election.
Yeah.
So there's everything about our electoral system is now in shadow and in doubt. And in a way that's good. I don't know if we want like the faith and authority to be shaken, we certainly got that. So for all of his faults, Trump certainly delivered a possibly killing blow to the belief in authority in this country.
True. And I think that he delivered the blow to the only people that were kind of open to it, to accepting it, right? Which is conservatives, just about anybody on the right. Let's face it. I mean, progressives, they're all in. They're not going to be open to any of those ideas at all. So for Trump to take like these sort of, again, one of my favorite tweets of the Trump presidency was Michael Tracy saying, Trump's not exactly going to deliver a lot of really different stuff. He ruined the pageantry, and it's why these people absolutely hate his guts. And it's one of my favorite tweets from the Trump presidency, because it just absolutely defines those 4 years. And again, Trump did some good things. You have to give him full credit. He did some horrible things too, but man, that says it all. But
like, he desecrated the temple. He made what was holy unholy. And in fact, when those protesters broke into the Capitol during the 1/6 insurrection, that's what one of the Congress people had said, like, this holy space has been, micturated upon. I don't know exactly what the guy said, but I was like, what a, I'm not going to, what a Gwyneth Paltrow candle that guy was.
Yeah. There was even, wasn't it like, there was a security guy, I think, that was in the Senate, and he said something along those lines when those guys came into the room. Like, he said, this is like a really sacred place, bro, or like something like that.
Right.
And I'm like, man, that is just horrible. But I mean, Trump, listen, another favorite Trump moment of mine is he was talking shit about Nancy Pelosi. And he didn't say that her policies were bad. He didn't say that she was wrong. He said that Nancy Pelosi is a horrible person. And for the most powerful guy in the world politically, let's be honest, to say that about another person who's right there in the thick of it with them, that's a really, really powerful thing. And it just tells you why they had to have really hated his guts. He would just go ahead and outright say, no, you're a horrible human being. No one would ever do that.
And you got to admit, those times where he would have someone from the press just by the scruff, and he'd be like, no, you're a very stupid person. I just, that was some candy. Because, I mean, and also, we mention this all the time in our circles, but the fact that press is the enemy of the people, and he showed that for what it was. They exposed themselves. He didn't, like, in any way make them do that. They were so unable to process him that they did it to themselves. And now we all know, because I didn't know before Trump, and after Trump, I can see it. So, that's something to be thankful for him too. So, like, there's a reason he got maybe to that hero status, but it's super dangerous for people to, like, continue to elevate him to, like, a god or something like that. Like, conservatives, you should see what he exposed the system as. and then take it from there. Like, don't stay in the Trump moment. You need to move like beyond the Trump moment to recognize what was exposed.
Sure. And he kept them in place on a lot of things, like oh, we love our beautiful police. He would like say things like that. Right. And of course that's a tough one for conservatives until you remind them, well, okay, so I tell you what, let's go ahead and say that Nancy Pelosi is in charge. Let's go ahead and say that Chuck Schumer is in charge. That's it. What Chuck Schumer says is law, and you must obey the law. Who's coming for your guns? And but he kept them right there with David
Chipman.
Yeah, David Chipman. That's right. He would always remind them of how, we love our beautiful police. And it's like, it's like, if conservatives need to wake up to one thing, it's that. And I think the way to sell it is through gun rights.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, Elephant Man in the chat pointed out that the press is not the enemy of the people. I meant that in the sense that the press in its current form. I don't mean the idea of what the press is supposed to be or the fourth estate or any of that. I think that is important. But in its current form, it's not a good thing.
It's forever form. But no, what I was going to say though is, let me just, because of that,
journalism has done very good thing. I got to give you some pushback. Journalism has exposed the state.
But the corporate press is what we're talking about. We're not talking about
thank you.
We're not talking about Tim Pool or any of the other people who are on the ground. We're not talking about independent journalists. Right. We're talking about the corporate press, which has always been the enemy.
Which I want to clarify for. Thank you.
I do want to say that actually, I think maybe one of the things that Michael Malice, the biggest success I think he's had is that Ron DeSantis, when he talks to the press and calls them out, he calls them the corporate press. Mm-hmm. He uses Michael Malice's terminology when he's going at them. And that is incredible. You have to admit that he's using anarchist words just like Barry Goldwater did back in the day.
Yeah, true. Right. Yeah. Huh. Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Yeah. It was surprised me because Tulsi picked it up too, but they're a lot closer to one another through friendships and other shows
and locals and stuff. Yeah.
Right. And then you've got Ron DeSantis using anarchist terminology. It's like, it's good stuff.
That's amazing.
But what I was going to say though is, when you kind of move into the freedom space in the zone of anarchism, libertarianism, whatever, you notice all of the hero worship of the Trumps or the Obamas, or not really Joe Biden, because Joe Biden is just on the coattails of Obama. Anything that he's getting is from Obama.
Even his supporters don't support him. I know people who are like Joe Biden supporters. They're kind of like, he's better than the other guy. That's as much as they'll give him.
Yeah.
Right. No more mean tweets.
But you see that and you walk away from it, and then so many people that you run into just create themselves new heroes to worship. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I've noticed. I love Dr. Paul, but Dr. Paul can be wrong. I love Michael Malice. Malice can be wrong, but there are some people wearing priestly robes and following people around, and I'm like, gotta chill out, man. It's too much.
Yeah. Like Ron Paul, for example, I love Ron Paul as well. I love everything that Ron Paul stands for.
Yeah.
But when you go back and look at the record, there's not a whole lot of movement there. Let's put it that way. So even his politics didn't really move the needle. I think that it woke up a very small segment of the country. And so you do see people who are kind of latching onto that now, right? It's like the Ron Paul Revolution 2.0, I guess. Maybe that's what they say it is.
Maybe that was a seed, and from that seed has grown something of a plant. But it started as a seed for sure.
Yes, and I respect it. By the way, I really do. I respect everything that he's done. But at the same time, I ran a poll this past week, where's the Ron Paul Revolution best served, the LP or the Republican Party? And at least from my followers and people who shared it, most people said that it was the Republican Party. And, that's Ron Paul largely chose the Republican Party to do what he did.
Right. Well, and that's, and if we get into strategy talk, I think that it bears out that him subverting the Republican Party bore more fruit than anything the Libertarian Party has ever done.
By far.
And so it's hard for me to get into that discussion. And I know it doesn't make me any friends. But it's one of those things that I see. The reason I mention this is there was a guy on Twitter that I had to block because I disagreed with something that, not Dr. Paul. I won't name the guy. I remembered who it was. No need to put names out there. But I disagreed like slightly with a guy on Twitter, and then like the people came after me, and it was like the guy I said later, "Are you okay? Like, what's going on?" He was like, "No, I actually agree with you." I was like, "Yeah." I had these people
resolution.
Yeah, they had these people that completely misunderstood me, going, "But what about and just attacked me, dogged me. And I was like, why can't we just be friends? My strategy is not your strategy. I want decentralization down to the individual. That's what I want. And until I have my zone prepared, I'm not going to tell anyone. We had an interesting conversation with Jeremy on Sunday where it was like there's this idea that we should change all of the United States and that we should force that view in some way. I know people would say, no, it's not really forcing it. It's whatever. But that this is like the way that we need to, right. And we need to kind of make that what everyone goes for. And he's like, and I don't agree with that. And we talked about decentralization a little bit. We talked about how in like a market anarchism, there could be different places for different people. If you want to be ruled, you can be ruled. If you want to be a hippie, you can be a hippie. If you want to be a commie, etc. And so I always wonder why it is, like the agorists and the paleo libertarians and the LP people can't just kind of stop and go. It seems like strategy is the biggest hurdle for these people. And it's like, if you say that I don't think your strategy is going to work, that's some sort of attack. And I don't get that.
Right. So we all have the same goal.
To be left alone.
Right. And you look at the LP and you're like, well, the LP on a good day is what, 1.5%, as far as presidential politics goes. And they might pick up some smaller local offices and, God bless them. I mean, obviously you would take a libertarian over just about any politician in existence today. So I do get it. I'm confused by the political solution though. And I have a hard time latching on to that, particularly on a federal level. I believe that the power, I believe that people could take power back from the states. And so a couple of things that I think about, and I've never been able to get into deep discussions with other people about it, but there's two things that I think that matter. And if you could get them done into like it's going to have to be a super red state, right? Let's be honest. Something like Wyoming or something like that. But I think that abolishing an ongoing property tax is the most important thing that any state could possibly do for freedom, because it allows you to drop out of the US dollar. It allows you to drop out of the economy and all interactions. So in other words, let's say that you make this offer to a state. Hi, Wyoming, you've got a state retail sales tax of, let's just use 7%. I'm going to buy $100,000 worth of land. I'll pay you retail tax, which is $7,000 on this sale, but I'm done. I'm done paying you taxes. I owe you nothing ever. And guess what? If I sell it in 6 months for $100,000, somebody else owes you $7,000. And to me, that is where you're able to at least try to offer, like, okay, you want taxes for things like the roads, right? And the cops and fire and everything else. So that's one idea that I have, is that if you could accomplish that, imagine buying 200 acres for a couple of $100,000 in the South. You could start your own town. You wouldn't really even have to go anywhere if you didn't want to. You could farm it. You could open stores on it. You could do all kinds of stuff like that. And every year somebody couldn't come knocking and saying, if you don't give me US dollars, I'm taking everything from you. The other idea that I have, is just me thinking about things, is that building codes are also, I believe that's the second thing that you should try to accomplish. And I think you should try to do it on a state and local level. If I own a piece of property and I want to build a structure on it for me and my family, I should not have to ask anyone permission, instructions, diagrams, or anything else. I should be able to pull water out of the ground the way that I want to do it. I should be able to put a structure up on top. And the one thing, again, I think about trade-offs politically. What could you trade back to these people? I think that what you trade to these people, I'll give you an example. If this is your property and you build a structure on it, I think the only rule that should be ever even allowed to trade with these people is that if your structure fell over, it wouldn't go on your neighbor's property. So in other words, you could build the crappiest, tallest structure and you could risk you and your family's life all you want with no input from the state. And if it fell over, it wouldn't harm another person or their property. And so those are the two things that I think about when I think about liberty. And I don't see any of them being remotely possible on a federal level. Right. The federal government is such a huge target of progressivism, which, obviously they're just a bunch of commies in waiting is all that they are. I don't see that happening on a federal level. They're too big. But I look at states that do things like constitutional carry, I think is a good example, right? These are states that are saying you literally can't come in here and enforce a gun law, and you can't make us enforce a gun law. And they're writing it down and governors are signing it. And aren't we up to about 22?
I didn't know it was that many, but I knew that it was growing.
It's quite a bit. And so when I look at things like that, I go, tell me why Wyoming or another state, hopefully it would be a state that you could do some good farming in, by the way. Why can't Wyoming or some other state change their property tax law to a retail tax law with no ongoing collection for the rest of your life? To me, those are the things that I would ask for. That would be my movement. If I start a political movement today, it would be property taxes, but also no building codes on my own property unless it can harm my neighbor's property.
Well, it's like property taxes are easily one of the most evil taxes there are. I had a friend, Jordan, and his great-grandmother, it was a poor family, but they had a house that had been in their family for 2 or 3 generations. And his great-grandmother was living in there, and they could not get up the money to pay for the property taxes that year. And they kicked that 87-year-old woman off of her property and out of her house. And I was like, this is what evil looks like.
These people,
you can own land for what, 100 years, and they can still take it from you.
That's a tale as old as time that, states and governments and military forces have been coming in and kicking people off of their property. That, there needs to be some kind of, so while Dent was talking, I was thinking about how sometimes the concept of the perfect can be the enemy of the good. Because there's a lot of practical freedom that can be gained, like maximizing the amount of freedom that the individual has. And if you're no taxes, taxation is theft, you're not going to make it anywhere with anybody. But that is a practical, so you're saying, okay, let's trade some money to the state for, let's, do that. And I think that although, yes, I agree that taxes are theft and we shouldn't be paying anything, they're not going to let you walk out the door like that.
No.
So it has to be piecemeal. You have to bring them out into Muhammad,
Yes.
And also it's one of those things that, in my opinion, if you're going to do political action, it's right now, there are probably millions of people primed after this last year, after the lockdowns, after the mask mandates, after schools have been closed, all of this stuff, that are primed to want to push back against the state as a whole, the federal government and state governments. And I think that if you are going to be doing political action, I mean, getting out there is great. I applaud messaging getting out there. I do think that I heard Michael Malice's words come out of the governor of Florida's mouth, though. So I would say that there are maybe more, efficient and successful ways to have it happen than a political party. But why Rothbard was one who would do coalitions with people who agreed on specific things with him. So with all of these people who loved Trump, who are now lost and homeless in a sense, and who hated the lockdowns, who lost their jobs, lost their businesses, their houses, their livelihoods because of this stuff, wouldn't reaching out to them and working with them be so much better right now?
Yes. Yeah.
Doesn't that just that makes sense to me? Is, hey, these people are disaffected and pissed. They're the Gen X of people right now. Let's let's work with them. Let's speak into that area where we're really good at, and move from there.
Yes.
Doesn't that, am I wrong? Doesn't that make sense? Wouldn't that be the best way to do it?
Right. The smaller I think the smaller that you go, the bigger changes that you could make and directly affect people's lives. And that's why I don't believe that there's a federal solution to any of this, because the federal is the natural target of people who do want to micromanage your entire life. But states have an amazing amount of power. Again, constitutional carry laws and other things are a good example. States, to my knowledge, and I'm an idiot, but to my knowledge, states can actually sever a lot of tentacles from their state. One thing Ron Paul, I believe the figure that he used was that states accept 11% of their public school budget from the federal government, and they spend 14% to implement the rules that came down the tentacle from the Fed. Right. And so I've seen him make that point in the past. I don't know if those numbers still stand, but credit to Ron Paul for calling that out. So I'm looking at that. I'm going, wait a minute. But what I hear in that statement is that the state should literally just go and just sever all around its borders, sever every tentacle from the federal government and say, you know what? We'll have our own welfare, right? We'll have our own public schools. So again, would you really try to bargain with these people and say, you can't have anything that comes from government? No. Do your own thing and control it locally. Now your local school board has more power. Now, so think about the more control that you could gain. It's reminding me too, you're talking about, finding liberty for yourself. I had a really, a pretty popular tweet that I had sent out about a week and a half ago where I was saying, hey, we homeschool. I run a business from home. Like we do all of these things, and none of it, and all of it is freedom. And I found it right here. I experience a lot of freedom right now, that people should look for that right now with where they can get it. So I really agree with that sentiment that, like you were saying, Jessica, about people just think, nope, I just have to say, that's it. It has to be this. We have to go from where we are today to absolute anarchy tomorrow, or I'm not happy. And it's like, well, okay, but I'll still shout this from the rooftops. Donald Trump cut my taxes so much in 2017 that I paid off my house in a year and went completely debt-free while my business skyrocketed. And if I met Donald Trump anywhere, I would shake his hand and I would thank him for that, because that's meaningful. And if you don't think I found freedom in being completely debt-free by the time I hit my mid-40s, you're wrong. You're not looking at things the right way if you can't see the value in that. We're like, nope, it has to be this. Of course, taxation is theft. But look what Donald Trump did in 2017. It was amazing. I'll take it all day long.
Yeah.
That goes toward coalition building too, because it's like you were bringing up Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis has a lot of really great positions, and I don't know, I'm just picking a random thing. I don't know that this is his opinion. He might have a garbage opinion on Israel, the kind of opinion that would just make you spit on the floor and kick the wall and all those kinds of things. Is it not worth still building a coalition with him so your life in Florida could be more free? I think that it is. So, there's obviously a fine line to cross there, like you can go over the line to where you're just basically what's the word I'm looking for? Supporting the state's continuousness in its power.
Right.
So like always the mind on the maximalization of human freedom. Is this making the most amount of people free that I possibly can? So his opinion on Israel affects Israel very little, but his opinion on gun laws in Florida affects our lives a lot. So
It's
like
a big
parse
deal.
out where that attention goes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I wanted to mention, there was, when I had said that Ron Paul or whoever can be wrong, there was like, sometimes you guys are wrong. Yes, never claimed to be right.
Often.
Like this is my thing. I do not want to be your leader. I have no interest in it. I want to be my leader and my family's leader. Anything beyond that, none of my fucking business.
Yeah, sure. Right. And let's be honest too. I mean, most of the time we talk about theoretical ideas that in theory we think could be a pretty good theory. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, it's,
Yes.
you have to admit all that. I mean, nobody knows what the hell they're talking about. So.
Right.
And also if you go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, my only point is there are sycophants out there that will follow people to the point where they annoy their heroes, and don't be that guy.
True. Yeah. Very true.
But also, I think if you did go from zero to anarchy tomorrow, you would be ripping the rug out from so many people. You would cause monumental human suffering, humanitarian crisis. And you think, oh, I don't care about that. You're not actually maximizing freedom for the most amount of people by doing something like that. So it's not even a good plan. You're just creating a chaotic situation, which might, result in riots and battles in the streets. You don't, you got to think these things through. You can't just go from 0 to 100 people crash when they do that.
Right.
And that's what I appreciate about people who are political, like Corey DeAngelis. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
But he is out there and he's fighting for school choice.
He is doing the Lord's work.
So he's not fighting to abolish public schooling, which I think, if I understood him correctly in some things, he would be for. But at this moment, what he's doing is he's pushing and he's making the New York Times, the Washington Post, all these people retract and correct their stories when they lie about how spending has not increased over the last this many years, when it has. It's increased at a continual, gradual rate, right?
Right.
But he's going out and he's pushing for the funding of students rather than institutions.
Right.
And that's worth something. Is it the perfect solution? No. But it is a much better solution than what we have right now.
And he's doing more than anybody who in theory believes that theoretically their theories could work in theory. So, he's out there actually doing something. Jessica, you mentioned, anarchy, in one day. I mean, the two things that come to mind are, security. We don't have a security apparatus in place where people could instantly call a cop, if you want to say, to help them, but also, charity. As far as there's a lot of people who rely on the state. It is a shame. I'm not advocating for that. I'm saying that in one day, what would happen to people who get their food from the state? There's no other path for them. Correct. And there's no other path. Yes. Right. And by the way, some of those people could be people that paid into a system against their will for their entire life and said, well, at the end of my life, I'll have it. So you can't just take that away either and expect, oh, well, there's charity. And the other side of that is that I think that, anarchists and libertarian types probably need to do a better job at promoting charity. And I think that that's actually a better path. When I joined the LP back in 2016 and 2017, and then I was like, this is pointless. But one of the things that really caught me was like, if I ran the LP, I would actually turn it into a charitable organization. I would turn it into, who's the guy that goes around to the cities? Scott Pressler, is that his name? He was a huge Trump guy, but he went around to different inner cities and he would clean up their neighborhoods and
I remember that.
So it was, what they were? They were Trump supporters. But the thing is that they were actually doing good things, and it made people look at them and go, wow, this guy's in Baltimore doing what the local Democrats won't do, and Republicans have no power there. I believe his name is Scott Pressler, if you look him up. I look at stuff like that. I'm like, the LP should be a charitable organization. They should be showing people the way out of the system and how people can be helped and that they can rely on each other and care about each other, by the way, because the LP and libertarians in general are basically painted with the brush of you don't care about the poor, you don't care about the sick, you don't care about the elderly.
Right.
What if they were actually a charitable organization that happened to run candidates as well? And now you're showing people the path. They don't do that. It's just taxation is theft, and they're screaming about don't take my stuff. Dude, I agree with you. But I'm also saying that there's a much better path, and I believe that charity would be the flag that I would fly if I ran the LP.
Absolutely. Beautiful.
And that, I mean, even in general, charity and also voluntary solutions to issues that we have right now. I think that right now is the most perfect time for people to start offering solutions that people don't have the answer for right now. Offer the solutions that people ask, well, you know, in anarchy, how would this happen? If we had someone doing that thing, suddenly we can point to it. And so this brings me to Josh's question, serious question to me. How does "don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good" political approach apply to police?
I have an answer for that.
I have one as well, which is there is an app called Citizen. It used to be called Vigilante, I believe, but it is essentially a neighborhood watch gone digital. And so the idea is that people go into their phones and they say what's going on around the city. And there are these security guards that take care of this situation. And they had a car driving around in New York or Los Angeles, I can't remember which. And people were like, oh, this is private security. This is bad. And I heard some anarchists saying, this isn't any better than police. And that is the perfect being the enemy of the good, because there are people out there that are trying to provide alternative ways, not monopolistic ways to take care of personal security and security of property. And the enemy of the good is the people who say, well, they're just going to end up being like police, or let's say they're staffed by police, ex-police, who cares?
Right.
That is the perfect enemy of the good.
They're coming, if you have people that come from those neighborhoods, you might even be having interactions with people you know. So if you run into some teenage boy making trouble, instead of being afraid of him because he comes from a completely different culture than you or looks different than you might know him and be like, James, get home before I tell your mother that you were out past midnight. So instead of needing to shoot a kid, you can tell him I'm not saying that would always work in every situation. I'm just saying there are opportunities when you come from that area and you know those people to come up with better solutions and be incentivized not to hurt each other, which is not the incentives that the police have. Another great example of a thing that you're talking about is the Detroit Threat Assessment Center, which is an organization, a private organization that grew up in the inner cities of Detroit where police had stopped patrolling. Things had gotten so bad in the relations between the neighborhoods and the police that the police had utterly stopped patrolling these neighborhoods, leaving them to the hands of the drug dealers and the crackheads and whoever else might make trouble. So these people who armed themselves got together and created this sort of like citizens threat assessment. You know, you call them and say, hey, you know, we've got an issue. They have not had a single shooting in an interaction that they've had with people from their neighborhood. Because a lot of the times they know the people that they're talking to. And that's important.
Wow. That's amazing.
Wow. Let me make sure I gave the right name, but go ahead.
Poilu Paradis said, I give zero fucks about politics. I focus on my business and how it services my community.
I saw that.
That is where I am as well.
Gave a thumbs up. Yeah, here it is again. Absolutely. Yeah. I do care about politics to a degree, and you know, for sure, because it affects all of us. But you know, I'm running a business in my backyard, you know, every single day. So.
Josh said, I ask because I have thought a lot about the sheriff nullification concept pushed by the CSPOA. Heard about it the first time on Tom Woods a few years ago. If you can get your sheriff to stop the feds and to stand in between you and that coercion, that violence, that's good. Do that. There are people who should be doing that. And honestly, if we start doing these little things like that, these can be stepping stones. Because even though I don't like the phrase constitutional carry, I prefer permitless carry, because I think it tells your enemy exactly how they're going to be able to attack you on it. Use the Constitution. I don't like that. And I of course reject the idea that it's anything but a natural right. So I don't even say constitutional rights, but that's just me being pedantic.
Yeah. So just to show that we are often wrong, it's actually the Detroit Threat Management Center. And they've rebranded. They're now going by the Detroit Herbal Survival Training and Preventative Threat Management Training System.
Did you say herbal?
Oh, I did. Maybe. Maybe I'm not reading that. Hold on. Detroit Threat Management Center. Urban. That's the word I meant to say. Urban. Detroit Urban Survival Training and Preventative Threat Management is what they do.
100% of people who win elections are politicians. And let me finish that statement. All politicians are bastards.
There's a couple who do real good. Thomas Massey and Rand Paul come to mind anyway.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, aren't they? Because they're doing
always
something.
Exceptions to rules.
Yeah, they're doing something. I like those guys. I don't see where they're coming after my freedom. Let's put it that way.
I was really shocked that they passed the bill that Rand Paul just put up about not funding gain-of-function research, because he has not won a lot of friends by attacking Fauci. So for them to pass that bill means there's really something behind. They've really got some dirt on Fauci, and I don't think he's gonna.
Well, he may be the next sacrificial wolf.
I think he is the next. He's the next one. They put him up on a totem so they can knock him down.
Yeah, him and Bill Gates.
Cuomo.
Oh God, that guy. And you see it little by little. They're trickling out this Bill Gates story, and it's like, ooh, the fall is coming. Like we all feel it. We know. We know this. It's been done so many times.
Even like pictures of like, ooh, Bill Gates captured in the wild, and you're like, okay, I've seen this before too. Definitely, they've decided that Bill himself has got to go. Unfortunately, they don't believe his ideas should go. So.
Did we talk about how his wife is just Kevin Kline in drag?
Yeah, you did. You did.
I like that. Speaking of his wife, though, just real quick, I think that this Bill Gates thing started because she decided that she's going to get a leg up on this divorce situation. So she's the one that started putting those stories out there. I mean, if you don't think she's connected to powerful people at the New York Times and other places that can get these stories out there, she stands to make billions for the higher percentages that she can get out of a divorce. And so I believe that she actually went after Bill's character for her own benefit, but that 7.5 billion people might benefit from that.
It's incredible to me because people don't get to that level of power without having some kind of dirt that they do. We were talking about this earlier in the episode. Everybody who achieves that level of status was lifted up by the fact that they're all doing shady stuff. So, I mean, she's got dirt on him. There are things that he can be taken down for. And so, I think we're about to watch that play out.
Right.
Like if y'all all weren't part of like a sinister satanic cabal in the first place, then your spouse couldn't take you down when she wants to take your money. Maybe learn a lesson.
Well, I mean, Bezos' wife got a lot too.
Yeah. Right. And he had a girlfriend at the time also, right?
I'm sure.
I think
I don't know, but I think he's now trying to compete with Elon Musk in getting to getting to Mars. And I just find that funny that there's a space race and it's all corporate CEOs.
Yeah. Probably just trying to get on SNL.
This is not different than when Carnegie and all of those other guys were like building railroads and all of those different things. Like rich dudes have to compete, and the only people they have to compete with are other rich dudes. And so they could be out there being Batman, but instead they're shooting cars into space. So
we could have Batman and Iron Man right now, but they're just shooting cars, like you said, shooting cars into space or making flamethrowers.
Suck ass billionaires.
You could be flying right now in a metal suit, and what are you doing?
You're bodying my Bitcoin portfolio is what you're doing.
Yeah. Thanks, Elon.
Thanks, Ray. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So is Joe Biden a deep fake?
No, not at all.
You don't think
He's
they
exactly
deep faked him?
no, I don't think so. I think Biden's exactly, who he has always said he is. And
No, what I mean by deep fake is do you know what deep fakes are?
yeah, I do. Are you saying that they're putting out videos of Joe Biden that aren't really Joe Biden?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's a big rumor. Yeah.
Well, did you see that video of him phasing his hands through the microphone and stuff like that?
I did, and I was tweeting about that some as well. And there's possible anomalies that could happen. Here's what's odd, is that very quickly somebody released footage from Biden's right-hand side that did show his hands in position with the microphones. So that was very odd. The other thing that I couldn't wrap my head around was, yeah, but why? Like, why would you fake this? Like, he just made some random comment before walking to a helicopter. It had almost no meaning. It's like, why would you do that? So that was really strange. I do believe that was an anomaly. Are there new ones though?
So,
is that what you're telling me?
No, they're
the car with the 2 steering wheels or whatever, that's supposed to be one. And there's like the idea that he's really incompetent, or some people have even said he's dead and they just fake him. They Weekend at Bernie's him around by creating these deep fake videos.
I love the idea, but
that looked like one though.
Yeah.
There was one that really looked like a deep fake. That wasn't the hand thing. It was just it looked like his head wasn't connected. And I was just one of the people when they said that it wasn't a deep fake, they were like, well, deep fakes just aren't good enough for that. And so I pulled up something that I saw on TikTok today. Tell me that this isn't good.
Yeah, I'll be right there, Steve. Hey, what's up, TikTok? Look, I do a lot of my own stunts, but I also do a lot of industrial cleanup, okay? It's important. So, obviously you keep your hands clean, but you need that exfoliating product to really cut through the grime, okay? Just another tip for you talkers, or the TikTok tips. I'm getting too old for that. I don't, internet.
That dude is so good. I've seen some other stuff of him. That is like so good. Right. I mean, it's amazing. What's funny about that is the whole deepfake thing is there's guys on YouTube that like randomly put out these deepfake videos that are better than some stuff that you see in movies and TV shows.
Yeah. That is incredible. And that's a TikTok video.
Yes. Right.
That's amazing.
How much time really went into that video? Like a day?
But
maybe.
But that's what's funny is like that one video that I showed weeks ago, it had the same kind of artifacts that you notice if you're looking for them. Okay. Like with that same deep fake of Tom Cruise. Like that's not that. And it's just like, I could believe not that he's in bed all day and he can't move or he can't speak, but that they would put out some things that made him look a little more strong than he is, a little more capable of standing for more than 27 seconds.
Maybe. I mean, there's drugs and injections that they can give him that can sort of give that same effect as well, though.
That's true.
That's true. You saw it wear off in that last debate between him and Trump.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you could tell that, right. There was definitely a curve that went, yeah. that was it. It was over. Yeah.
Which I'm afraid, just on a human level, that if he is actually experiencing cognitive decline, and he has some kind of like really bad shit the bed kind of moment in public, like you're exposing him to the risk that he will have this loss of dignity that, his I don't know, not that I'm worried about his legacy necessarily, but I'm worried about an old man in a vulnerable position. And I hate the idea that they're like trotting him out long past when an old man should be trotted out. They were doing that with Dick Clark on the New Year's Eve thing, way past the time they should have been putting Dick Clark out there. And I feel like that was a loss of dignity.
Yeah, but I'll refer back to the Michael Tracy tweet about Trump ruining the pageantry. Trump showed you who could get into that office, and I think that it brings the office down on a personal respect level. So Biden, like you said, having a like shit your pants moment as an old man, it brings the office down for another group of people, right?
Yeah.
And so I like that it lowers the office. Like, what, this clown? You're telling me this is the most popular guy in the world? Also, seriously. So I like that.
The Russians, or the Soviets, as they were called then, they knew the press was lying to them, and they would say, if you want to know what the truth is, just whatever the opposite of whatever the Pravdas are telling you is the truth. And we have reached that point where if you are seeing things in the media, like, the opposite is basically true. So they keep telling us how in control he is and how free and fair everything is, and they just repeat that shit over and over again. To me, it suggests that it's the opposite of that. It wasn't free, it wasn't fair. Not that I'm saying anything, Susan Wojcicki. I'm just
me either.
Yeah.
I just think it'd be really funny. I just think it'd be really funny if he was a deep fake.
Oh, no, it would be hilarious.
What a fantastic timeline.
Anything that lowers the office, the power of the office, anything that lowers it is fantastic.
I agree with the lowering of the office point. I hate to see an elderly man put in that position. I guess he put himself in that position, but I feel like Mrs. Biden just wanted to be Michelle so bad. She wants to be on the cover of Vanity Fair. She wants $4,000 boots. And I feel like because she is constantly like dragging him around, pushing him forward, pulling him off. Like, she's in a lot of ways, I think, a puppeteer of this declining old man.
I would believe that easily. I think you can see it, like you said. At times you can kind of notice that, like, this just doesn't quite seem right that you would put your husband through this, knowing, like, you see what he's doing right now, right, lady?
Right.
She's just standing there giving him the little pat or something, just trying to keep it going.
As a wife, I blame her for this. Look at him falling up those stairs. Like, when I saw that, I got so angry at her.
Yeah.
And and it's not even like I have so much respect for the president or whatever. I just saw an old man like falling on his ass. And I'm like, this is Dr. What's her face's fault.
Right.
Like, I don't have a charitable opinion of this woman.
I know. And I know I'm giggling, but I'm sorry. This guy's coming after my money and my freedom. And
I understand. I understand.
Do you remember that time he bit her finger when she was talking?
It's so creepy.
So fucking weird.
So creepy, dude. It's the weirdest thing ever. Do you know? I mean, how many people would the press just annihilate over that one creepy moment?
Well, you wanted to stand in the spotlight for 47 years.
Do you know? Have you ever watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
No.
I'm pretty sure at the end of that show, there may be other shows that do it as well, but there's a production company, and at the end of the shows, there's a cartoon doctor, and it says, "Not a doctor, shh," and that plays through my head every time I see Joe Biden.
Jill, that's her name.
Jill, Dr. Jill Biden.
Yeah, totally real doctor.
I still love how Sarah Palin was this buffoon because she wasn't, like Ivy League, but Jill Biden is a doctor because she came out of the community college scene.
I know. Oh my gosh. No, and
seriously, the same press said the same things.
The press was really dishonest in making her look dumber than she was, because she's not that dumb. Like, if you actually listen to some of her speeches, not that I agree with her, I'm saying that she's a lot smarter than they let on, and they were really unfair to her.
Tina Fey with the "I Can See Russia from My House" was
100%
executed.
100%.
That was back when they still did some funny stuff on Saturday Night Live.
100%. That was so fantastic. It's one of the most spot on impersonations that SNL's actually ever put out. It's great.
Except for Alex Trebek by Will Ferrell, which is a fantastic impression.
Classic.
Or what's his name? Norm Macdonald doing Burt Reynolds.
Burt Reynolds.
That may be my favorite.
Yes.
My name's Turd Ferguson. It's a funny name. Funny name.
Like mourning how
you made me laugh so hard. I
used to be.
I pulled my earpiece out. You made me laugh so hard. I'm so sorry. Just the image of him chewing that gum with that.
I love Norm.
He's my favorite. I've tweeted many times, like whenever the news is like really terrible, I'm like, oh well, back to searching Norm Macdonald on YouTube.
Yeah.
Like,
Seth Rogen just said that jokes don't age well, and I think we just proved that good jokes age very well. You just don't have them, Seth.
oh my gosh.
What I love though was that Seth Rogen is going out there saying comedians just need to realize that jokes just don't age well, and they need to just accept that these are bad. And it's like, you're not a fucking comedian.
I know.
You're a comic actor.
Comic actor.
You don't do stand up. You're not a comedian. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Who are you?
Yeah. It's insane. When that guy was high and giggling, I thought he was fine, and now he's
right.
Now it's like the reason I left Facebook on, literally November 3rd. It's like all of my old friends who were just never political suddenly felt the need to become political. And I was like, I gotta go. Mm-hmm. I log into Facebook now to upload my kids' birthday pictures and videos. That's it. I log right back out. Even on my phone, I just log out. Done.
Mm-hmm.
I actually took down my years old Facebook page the other day for the show.
Oh,
because it doesn't do anything there.
Right.
Like maybe one or two people would see it.
Right.
They took out my an entire history and a online family from me on October 31st last year,
when they
3 days before the election. And so it's like, you took something, you're not helping. You've obviously made it so that it's hard for me to grow. Why am I checking you?
Right.
Why am I going on there? So I'm not.
Suck it, Zucky. Yeah.
Well, also, I got a community strike for posting pictures of lettuce from my garden. And I didn't, usually they give you an opportunity to appeal. Like, did we get this wrong? Tell us why. I had no opportunity to appeal, nothing. And I'm like, this site is unusable. If I can't even post pictures of my garden, which is the most milquetoast thing you can think of.
Right.
And
so
go ahead.
When the thing came out a few days ago that the gain of function and the coronavirus leaving the lab stopped being a conspiracy theory and a big lie, those were the things that they said they shut down the group for. That in particular, saying that it came out of the Wuhan lab was something that was a majority of the things that they flagged for us, was that it came out of the Chinese lab.
Right. Yep.
And so they nuked that for something that they're undoing the fact checks on.
Yep. Right.
Which they've archived.
Community. Fuck you guys. Sorry.
They didn't just do corrections on their things. They archived them and took them off the page. You have to look for them now.
No.
They corrected them in the background.
Oh, they're so horrible. I just can't take it.
I hate them so much.
But that's where my progressive, because believe it or not, I have progressive friends, but all my progressive friends, they use that site like it's every bit as popular as it always was.
Right.
They spend all their time on it. And then I've noticed like a great deal of conservatives have migrated to Twitter. And so that ideological separation is already happening. I support it. I can hang out, I'm not going to say a specific friend's name, but I have a very close friend who's a progressive. She knows that I'm not progressive. She calls me conservative. I'm not conservative. I want everything to be different. I don't want it to stay the same. So I'm not a conservative.
Yeah.
But as far as her purposes go, I am. And we can manage to have a relationship without ever talking about it. Like, I'm sure there are Protestants and Catholics that are friends. There are Muslims and Jews that are friends. And it has to be that way. Like, you can't
Protestant,
Catholic. There you go. And I am a converting Orthodox. Yeah. So I'm in the middle. I'm a catechumen in the Orthodox Church right now. That's why the headband. So it's it's got to be that way. The way that our parents and our grandparents learned to get along with each other, even though they were different, we're going to have to do that. But we can't force everybody together. We can't force 324 million people together and expect them to be a nation. Oh, shut up, Brian. He got me.
That's from the 3-point line right there, man.
Yeah, he got me. Okay, so tradition is very important to me. But politically, I don't want things to stay the same. I want things to be completely different than they are politically. So in that way, I'm not a political conservative. Maybe I am a social or traditional conservative in
I
other
am
ways.
too.
So fair point, sir. Fair point.
I am too. Sure. Yeah, I'm socially conservative, but I just don't want to pass any laws to enforce that on you. So,
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think every woman should have to wear one of these. I choose to wear this. It's a big difference, you know? And I don't think any less of you if you don't. I don't think you're immodest if you don't. I'm choosing this. So that's, you know, it's okay.
Well, that's what's funny is...
Yeah, I know, Heather. I love you, girl.
That's what's funny, though, is like in some sects of Christianity, there's like I would get very looked down upon because do you see how long this stuff is? Do you see these?
Yeah.
But look, we can do this, and we're
Mhm.
happy and fine. And I'm going to get more tattoos. You cannot stop me.
Mine's getting past the collar, by the way. I haven't cut hair since
Ooh.
October.
I'm just kidding.
So I'm just letting it go. Well, I've had hair, 2/3 of the way down my back, I think probably 5 times in my life.
For some reason, I thought I was
Nice.
thinking of back hair.
Oh.
I was like, man, you got some long back hair. Does your wife braid it?
Yeah.
I mean, she would have to.
Yeah. I think I'm heading there with you. Or the next time you see me, my head will be buzzed. Who knows? Yeah.
I just halfway.
But yeah, the point is that we have this idea that we all have to live together in a melting pot. And it's this, we are the state, we're all in this together, and we're a big melting pot. So we've got to find a way to make everything on the distribution curve milquetoast enough for everybody to be happy. You can't do that. You have to let people go off in their separate little tribes and separate little camps. Humans are tribal. That's the anthropological fact of the matter.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it's like, look at Canada. I have a friend who lives up in Canada, and I forget which part of that shithole country he lives in, but he was talking about how there's not so much forced integration there, or not necessarily integration. There's not like forced association. And so if you go to these different parts, there's a Chinatown, there's an Arab Persian town. They all go into their different areas that they want to be in voluntarily, and they live their lives that way. And there is nothing wrong with that. In fact, forcing it to be otherwise is not healthy.
Yeah, that's where it's
because
wrong.
then you have those people out there who are horrible people who can't handle things and do violent stuff. Like you don't want that. Let people be whatever they want to be, and then you'll be fine. For the most part, there are going to be some outliers, but we shoot them on sight.
Well, we can't. Okay, so like there are no perfect solutions. There are only trade-offs. There's always going to be conflict between groups. It's like, how do you minimize the conflict, or how do you maximize the conflict? The system we have now maximizes conflict between groups that are not going to be forced to get along. In fact, you see that like different communities in inner cities are literally attacking each other in the streets. And, it's the violence that dare not speak its name as far as the media goes. But, people see it. We see the violence between these communities. And it's, because this forced association. And I think if people could separate a little bit, it would be for the best.
Yeah.
Doesn't win you a lot of friends, though.
That's true.
So I want to welcome Galaxy Searchers 1 to watching our show. He says he's a conservative following Quest around on YouTube tonight to learn about libertarianism. And this will be the least structured way to do that. And then Josh followed up with, I follow Quest into the bathrooms. Is that learning libertarianism?
It actually is.
I would imagine so. You at least learn a lot about yourself, and that's libertarian enough.
Some of that voluntarism.
That made my brain went gross.
Go talk about your pleasure.
Have I told you that story, Dent?
Yeah.
What's that?
Not that.
I used to work at Chick-fil-A, and one time a German gentleman walked into the place. He got some food. Apparently, this was his first time going to Chick-fil-A. He had great English, like every German that ever comes to America. But he comes up and he gets his food. I give it to him, and and I say the traditional, "My pleasure." And he goes, "Ooh, do not tell me about your pleasure." Because in his mind, pleasure went to sexual pleasure.
Yeah.
And he was like, "I do not want to know."
Weird. Wow. Okay. Wow, that's super odd.
I was like, you wonderful German man.
Quest just said, "I love Jesus chicken," which in Georgia we call it Jesus chicken. Christian chicken as well. Yeah.
I'm not seeing I only see the comments that you put up on the screen, by the way. It says private chat otherwise on the screen.
Yeah, we try to keep you out. Box
No,
you out.
thank you.
But that's what's so funny. Like right now I'm trying to find some extra side work. And I was talking to someone the other day and they were like, "You used to work at Chick-fil-A, right? Why don't you just go back there?" And I'm like, What do you think they're going to let me throw on that polo and rock a beard? No, they only let you have a mustache if you're a manager. And I'm like,
Wait a minute. Hold on.
I'm not going mustache.
Wow.
Pause. A mustache is a managerial privilege at the Chick-fil-A?
When I worked at Chick-fil-A, yes, the mustache was
Interesting.
a managerial privilege. He was the only man in that building that had any facial hair. Promoted
to mustache.
Speaking of, one time I walked in without shaving that day, and this was when I had peach fuzz. It didn't look like much of anything. And so it was like barely showing. And that manager made me walk to Rite Aid, grab a razor, and dry shave in the bathroom before I could start my shift. And so I don't like you. Screw you, Marcus, wherever the fuck you are now.
That's crazy, dude. Holy crap.
Okay. 2 additional questions. Sorry, I'm having trouble understanding this. First of all, he worked hard for his mustache privileges, and he was not about to let you just walk in there and usurp it. Secondly, there's water and soap in the bathroom. What do you mean you dry shaved?
When I say dry shave, I meant I didn't have shaving cream.
Oh.
So it was just water.
Yeah.
And I didn't use soap. I was like 16 years old. I didn't know what the hell I was doing.
Oh.
It was just growing on my face.
I didn't have shaving cream.
I'm saying shaving has always been something that I've hated, not just because I love beards, which I do, but because I have the most sensitive skin when it comes to shaving. If I shave, red bumps all over.
Oh.
Every time.
Men should have beards. Men without beards are women. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, I mean, it's true. You hear that, Ryan?
Zinged you back, man. I fear what's coming because of
Yeah, I'm waiting for it.
I'm in so much trouble, you guys.
I'm waiting for it.
Dent.
Yeah.
What is your favorite kind of pizza? I know you don't eat it unless it's a cheat day, but if you were to order a pizza, what would you order?
Man, I got to tell you, I mean, I know it's just super boring, but meat, just everything meat. And so even when I eat pizza, I want, first of all, if I only had one meat, it's pepperoni. If I'm having two, it's Italian sausage. Honestly, beyond that, mushrooms and onions, I actually like on pizza. So that to me would be the perfect pizza, like those 4 things. But if I just go into a pizza joint, they have like a thing that just says like meat lovers or whatever. I'll just order that. And that's not me trying to be like keto while I eat pizza crust. That's not what's up. I just love
like
those.
Right.
I just love the combos of like pepperoni and Italian sausage in particular.
Loves to have meat in his mouth.
Oh, yeah. I can't get enough of it. Sometimes I'm eating 2 at a time.
Oh.
So tell us, do your tarot card thing on this pizza. What is it? What does this tell you about Dent?
Well, there are definite Freudian implications about how many stick-shaped meats he likes to have on his pizza. So, yeah, I mean, he just, maybe that suggests something about his virility or his preferences. I don't know. No, so I tweeted, let me just clarify this. I tweeted that people's pizza preferences tell me a lot about their personalities, but I don't, I'm not one of those hardcore anti-pineapple people or anything like that. Like, I just genuinely wanted everybody to tell me what their favorite pizza was. Because if you can count on people on Twitter to do something, it's talk about themselves. And if you want to get like a popular post or a viral post, ask people something about themselves. People love to give you that information. Like, you can really learn a lot about someone by asking them those types of questions. But I never do it to be like, oh, obviously he's into sausage. I don't mean it like that.
It almost feels like the only answer is, well, you must be gay.
Yeah. It's that. It's everyone's gay because of their pizza preferences.
I'll take it. That'll work.
Yeah. You can join that libertarian caucus, that new libertarian caucus.
Yes. Who started that, by the way? That's fantastic.
You don't know?
No,
I don't. Who
don't.
started that?
I don't. You? Good. I'm so glad. Because you missed out on the fat Dave Smith situation. You created the whole thing, and then somebody else snagged the account. And I felt bad for you. I was like, no.
Well, this is one of the things. The person who I'm not running the account itself.
Okay.
But the guy who is, we have a group chat.
Okay.
So,
that's awesome.
But yeah, that was my idea and my my art, which
I saw that. Yeah, exactly. I saw that. My first reaction was, we're taking over. It's awesome.
I am definitely immature enough to be in that caucus. I'm not mature enough to be in the other one.
Right.
I made a membership card today for it.
We need to see this. We need to see it.
I'll have to move it to my computer.
Oh, is it on your phone?
Yeah.
You made that on your phone? That's really good.
Well, no, I made it at first on my phone. The most recent version is on my phone, though. I made it on my computer, but most recent version is on my phone. But yeah, so I love that you mentioned that, and it's like, oh yeah, no, that was me. If you see an account from a meme, I probably made that meme at this point in my life.
I'm telling you, it makes me so happy. Like I said, I hated that you got beat out with your own Dave Smith situation.
That completely that surprised me because I made that Fat Dave Smith meme.
Yeah.
And then
Smoke Show Dave Smith.
Account that one too. And it came out with the account, and they just smoked me in followers.
I know. That's why I felt just so terrible. I was like, really? Like, that's crazy. The rainbow member. Hold on, let me read this.
Yeah. Be the people. Be the people.
There's some subtlety in there if you look.
Yeah. Cam is Fat Dave Smith's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm also Hot Dave Smith's dad and Michelle Malice's dad.
Malice. Yeah.
There's another one out there too. I can't remember what it was though, but it's so funny because I was on Twitter the other day and I saw like 3 of them in a row, and I was just like, this is so freaking bizarre. Like, like I make a meme, throw it out there, and then people use it as their account. Like, it's fantastic.
You have to see it like Johnny Appleseed going around planting apple trees so that people will have cider.
Absolutely. Because I do not have the time to water these plants. If other people do, more power to them. I'm down.
I need someone to make an account for Nick Sarwark's pants. I don't know if anybody saw the big pants. That needs to be an account. I don't have time to do it, but someone should do it.
I've got to find it.
Yeah, do you have the picture?
I'm sure I have it. There we go. Shut up, big pants.
Yeah. Can you put it up?
Yeah, give me a second. Look at
I don't mean to rush you. I would never be this fast at getting anything on.
look at those big old pants.
Crazy. How long ago was that? I wonder how long ago that was.
He looks like he's 12, so for a while.
Right. Gosh.
Fat pants and soft hands.
Fat pants and soft hands. My husband said that's no way that's actually him because it's a Mises Institute background, but I'm sure he's been there before. But my husband and I had this whole argument about how that's not Nick's artwork. So Nick would not answer my tweet about whether those were his real pants or not. I demand answers.
I feel like since he's been silent, that means he's telling you that it was him.
Do you think that he hated the Mises people before they just kind of announced like that's it, we're taking over? I don't know.
Oh yeah. He hated them for a while back. Anyone like slightly Republican, he just wants to kick those people away from the party as much as possible, which I don't get because those are the most primed people to pull into the party. And here I am doing your job for you. I don't even care whether your party succeeds or not. So but if you wanted to, maybe all of these disaffected conservatives are prime real estate and fertile ground, and you shouldn't be kicking them away. Big pants or no.
Right. Yeah.
Whip said that picture was circa 1996, and those are Jinko khakis. Do y'all remember Jinko jeans?
I had many a Jinko with ripped up bottoms because I'm short.
I had a friend, my friend Joe. The moment we became friends was when we were in the church parking lot, and he was wearing those like really large goth pants with the chains on them, and we just spent like an hour and a half. We were completely sober, but we spent like an hour and a half grabbing the chain off of his pants and throwing it and watching it spark on the ground. That is how I became friends with my friend Joe.
That is some high school kid shit. Just so bored that you'll make sparks just to be entertained.
Right. That's awesome.
We can't let these kids apprentice or anything. It's much better that they spend their time in parking lots making sparks.
We didn't drink or smoke or do anything like that, so it was actually better than what most people were doing.
Fair enough. That's a fair.
Do you like horror movies, Dent?
Not particularly, no. I've never been real big on. I don't like the whole like jump scare thing and all that, and some of them that just are so sort of psychologically deep that really go in on you. I want to say that the last horror movie I made, I don't know that you'd call it horror. It's probably more of a thriller, but I'm pretty sure that it was the A Quiet Place.
Okay, yeah, I think that falls into horror.
Oh, that was good. Yeah, it was a psychological thriller.
And I like the Halloween. Here's how much I'm into horror movies. When the Halloween reboot came out, what was that? Maybe like 3 years ago.
Wait, the sequel or the reboot?
There was, I guess it was a direct sequel, wasn't it?
Yeah. The one with Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah. She was back. Yeah. So that was probably about 3 years ago. And I was on a trip in New York with a friend at a trade show. And so we decided that the entertainment for the night was going to be to go see the Halloween movie in one of the big, like Lowe's theaters or something. Mm-hmm, and I had to sit there and admit to the guy that I had never seen Halloween. So I bought it on Amazon. It's actually the only movie I own on my personal Amazon account, not like the family and the kids, is Halloween, so that we could watch it. So we could walk directly in there and watch that direct sequel minutes later. It was pretty cool.
This man does his homework. I like that.
I had to know, I obviously I knew the premise of it, but I'd never seen the movie. And you have to admit, when you watch that flick, which is like 1979, I think.
Yeah.
You have to admit, it really laid the groundwork for a lot of stuff.
Very much.
It was definitely ground zero for a lot of stuff. But no, I'm not real big into horror. I hate to say that. I definitely don't like gore.
Okay.
No,
I
me
don't
neither.
Yeah, like my buddy's like, oh man, like human centipede and stuff like that. And I'm
Ew.
like, nope, don't even describe it to me. Don't even describe it to me. I don't want to
That
know.
will-
I'm so sorry. I have nothing against people who like horror though, because there's something unique about people who are like really into horror. Like they tend to have a great sense of humor, a very dark sense of humor. There's a way that they're able to take that information off of the screen and categorize it in a far more comical way than most people. The people who are really into it.
Do
Yeah.
you know about our horror movie challenge?
No, what's that?
Okay, so it's become our really this year, but Jessica has run for the past 3 years.
I've run
The-
it since 2017, but I skipped 2019, I think. So it's like 1 year was off.
Yeah.
But yeah, since 2017.
Okay.
Yeah, three.
So
or four.
basically, the challenge. It's a challenge. It's the largest. Sorry, let me. I know I have a
Go for
spiel
it.
that I'll do. Okay, so
Okay.
it's the largest horror movie challenge on the internet. The challenge is to watch 100 more horror movies leading up to Halloween. So it starts every year at July 23rd, which is exactly 100 days before Halloween. And I make a list where I enumerate out 100 different horror movies. You can tackle this any way you want to. You can watch them all on the weekend. You can double up on some days, or you can just do one movie a day. The only thing you win for completing the challenge is honor. And so cheating on the challenge is really just cheating on yourself. No one to date has completed the challenge. I think Cam has gotten the furthest at 58. So that
Yeah.
shows you that it's actually rather difficult
It was
to
painful,
watch
dude.
100 horror movies.
So Jessica has this theory that people stop because you can only see so much gore and horror. My stopping
Murder,
point was
yeah.
I cannot watch another bad movie. Because there were several that I ran into that like in a row, and I was just like,
Was Motel Hell one of them?
it wasn't.
No, but I'm writing that down.
This is why we're asking. Even you don't have to take part in the challenge, but anyone up to July 23rd is when the list comes out, or that's when it starts. So the list may come out previous to that.
I usually
But-
do it the weekend before so people can like rent them or get them or whatever.
But you don't have to do the whole thing. But I do want you to pick one horror movie.
I will. And by the way, Motel
Just
Hell.
not Halloween because it's already on there.
Yeah, correct. Motel Hell. The only reason I know about it is the guy that works here with me. He is fairly into horror and really creepy stuff. And he turned me on to that movie. I think it's a really early 80s horror flick.
That is
It's-
the golden era.
It is. Exactly. And I've seen a lot of it. I don't think I saw all of it. I want to say that you can actually watch it on YouTube for free. But it was
That's good.
very entertaining in that just crazy, just early 80s was the shot on video type of, kind of B flick. And the guy that stars in it, he plays a guy named Farmer Vincent. He's been in some other things. I can't remember his name, but it's just a typical, just creepy, plot. But anyway, you should check out Motel Hell. It's definitely
So-
entertaining.
I like bad movies. Like
I like
watched,
a fair amount. Yeah.
Yeah, and so Cam was like, I have veto power. And like, this is a battle already coming to fruition, I think, because I like cheese and I like bad.
I don't mind.
And also
good
a lot
bad,
of them.
but there were just bad. They were just like,
Yeah.
this is uninspired. It's boring. It's terrible. And that was what got
So
me.
I haven't
Trolls
seen
Too
all
Bad or
of them. Yeah, I haven't seen obviously all the movies that I'm going to put on the list. So sometimes there are some stinkers on there. But what's good about bad horror movies is that they're usually free on YouTube. And so
Yeah.
you're not having to rent something every single day, especially like on a random Tuesday. If you're really trying to hit that challenge and you just want a 60-minute 1970s era horror movie to like get through that challenge, you sit through a stinker, laugh at it, have a good time.
So Hotel Hell is added.
I think it should be I think it's
Motel.
Motel Hell. Yeah.
Right.
Either way.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's
And
added,
again, I think it's
and-
free on YouTube. So.
And
Nice.
when we get to that week, we are probably going to be doing extra episodes where we talk about these. and do little clips that won't get us taken off of YouTube.
Okay. I will
But-
definitely do that. I'll definitely pull one. I'm curious to know what your favorite horror movies are.
Well, after last year, I can't say what for sure my favorite horror movies are, but having watched as many as I did last year, there were two standouts. The best one that I watched was The Ritual, which is on Netflix.
It's an
And
incredible movie. So
it
good.
was very good. And it's one of those that's dealing with regret and because he didn't step out when he felt like he needed to help his friend, and then it's very psychological. It's very Norse in places, like the iconography, the bad creature. Very interesting. The other one I can't remember the name of, but I liked it because it was so maybe, and Ryan's gonna remember the name of this one, but it was super disturbing and like purely psychological. And it was about a man who had this spider. There it is. It's called Possum. It was about this man.
Oh yeah, that's from Matt Marenge. I can't remember Matt's last name. Why am I cannot believe that I'm spacing Matt Holness, Holness. Okay. Yeah, okay. I did not Google that, by the way. I just remembered it. But he played Garth Marenghi, which you can watch that little short series on YouTube as well. But that Possum is his. And Garth Marenghi, funny enough, is a parody of a horror writer. But he's actually super into it. But anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
But no, but that movie I really like the ones that unnerve me, because that's a hard kind of emotional place to get to, is like, oh, that's scary. Oh, that's frightening is one thing. But when it's like you feel it in your body, like if you watched Hereditary or Possum, it's like this deep uncomfortability. And I like that because it makes me question things.
If Possum is on your list, you asked me to watch one movie. If Possum is on your list, I want to watch that. I can.
Okay. Well, so Possum will be on the list, and what we can do is you watch that, and you can come on and we can talk about how freaking weird it is.
Yeah, I really like Matt Holness too. I just think he's fantastic. So. And plus, the lead in that had done a fair amount of other stuff too, right? He's kind of a name.
I don't know, but I didn't.
He looked familiar from the trailer. I saw the trailer for it, but he looked familiar.
So
it's weird.
The one that I'm gonna throw out there, I have basically a favorite movie. Because I'm so into horror, I have a favorite in each category. So there's like psychological thriller, there's monster flick, and I could enumerate all of them, but the one I want to throw out is kind of an oddball. It's called The Perfect Host. And the baddie in it, the bad guy, is Niles Crane from Frasier. And it is it came out in 2010.
Oh, wow.
I've not seen that.
And it is a very, very different character and role for that actor, because everybody is so used to him as Niles Crane, and he actually plays the baddie in this one. So it's a definite recommend, and I am actually going to put it on the list this year.
My only rule,
The Perfect Host.
My only rule that I've added is that Ernest Scared Stupid has to show up on the list at some point.
Oh man, I love Ernest Scared Stupid.
But
it's on the list.
It has to be on the list at some point. But beyond that, like, there are just some movies that I saw last year that it was so bad I won't watch it again. And so it's like, if she mentions it, I'll go, no, I'm not kidding. This is just not good. Like, it's painfully bad. But beyond that,
we're gonna have to work out like a punch card system or something to like minimize conflict.
I don't think there's gonna be much. It's just like there's some that I was just like, if I watch this again, I'll put
Okay, well, I don't want that. So I think you're threatening me with suicide. I pretty much have to do whatever you say.
Hey, man, that's how I got married.
Movie.
That's how I go. No, I'm just kidding.
He's right. It could make a good movie.
I had an idea for a movie the other day. I can't remember what it was though. But oh no, it was stupid. I'm not going to mention that. Never mind.
All right.
So stupid. But okay, I'll tell you. I I was playing with my boys, and one of the games.
Whoa! Define
Oh,
boys.
your actual children.
My children. I have 5 of them. 3 of them have male genitals. But I was playing with them, and they're older, so I can I can do more imaginative play with them. And so I'll give them different superpowers, and they'll fight. And
Fun.
and so the superpower I gave, and I thought it would be a funny movie if done darkly satirical, mind you, but was a guy who had the power of flinging farts wherever he wanted them to go and lighting them on fire if he wanted to. And the boys thought it was hilarious.
Wow.
But I was just like,
course.
imagine if you tried to
It's
put
like Mario
this in some
World.
kind of like it's called The Boys, right? On Amazon. Have you
Right.
watched that? It like in that sort of world, but with a fart superhero.
I like the fireball idea. It reminds me of like Super Mario World.
Nothing is funnier to a little boy than farts. That is
It's
the
true.
height of the peak of comedy for a little boy is farts. So
earliest
that's an awesome.
discovered written joke is a fart joke.
Well. I figured it would have been a dick joke,
Nope,
but
it's a fart
farts have
joke.
taken it.
Yeah, it's a
Excellent.
fart joke.
Where does it come from?
It was Iraq. It was written. It's the oldest text that they believe that they've ever found written. And the first joke that they ever found was that something like, never has a woman's, it's something to the fact of never has a woman sat and farted on her husband's lap.
That's not true.
Right. Which is why it's a joke. But
Yeah.
but, you'd have to look it up. If you Google it, you'll find it. But it was actually it was found in Iraq, and it's the oldest recorded joke is a fart joke.
So I know a couple who would aggressively fart on one another. To the
Gross.
Wow.
And so it got it escalated to the point where it got a little violent. And it was all good fun. They were having a great time, but they were
Yes.
aggressively farting on one another. I was like, I do not get you people.
It came from the
I would-
Sumerians, and it was something which has never occurred since time immemorial. A young woman did not fart in her husband's lap.
See, they know.
So
Just keeping you warm. Shut up.
Yeah.
so thank you. Let me
And
die,
giving
let
you a
me die.
chuckle.
Dent,
Yeah.
what is your white pill? You know we do this. I've done this to you before. What is something right now that gives you hope in this world? Doesn't have to be political, can be private. Last time you said the building of the land and getting out of debt with Trump and all of that. But other than that, it's your floor.
Michael Malice not only filling the #1 spot on Amazon, but Michael Malice filling the #2 spot on Amazon. That's incredible. And again, it has everything to do not only with the fact that he is talking about literal anarchism, by the way, not the, I think as Tom Woods put it one time, that he calls himself a libertarian because if you say anarchist, then people think about a kid throwing a trash can through a Starbucks window. And I was like, that's really, that says it all, right? I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I think he actually said that to Malice on one of his shows. Well, yeah, I'm an anarchist, but I don't say that because this is what people think. So not only is it's real anarchism, but we are talking about a guy who cut out the middleman completely. And all he did was tweet it out and put it on locals and stuff. That's amazing. If that's not a white pill, I don't know what is.
And his words are coming out of Ron DeSantis's mouth, who is currently leading arguably the freest state in the United States right now.
Yeah, I would absolutely say so.
Sure.
Although I always mention, because I think this is true, that Noam in South Dakota, I think that she implemented no COVID. So in other words, DeSantis lifted restrictions pretty quickly, but I honestly think that Noam instituted no restrictions in her state.
The reason I say right now is because when the words vaccine passport came out, he said no to that with a quickness, and then Texas and other states have followed him since.
Right.
That is that is why I say it's arguably.
And
the
he
freest right now.
he used his local power. You can disagree with the existence of that power, but he did use his local power to protect the people that live within those borders from those feds.
That's right.
Good stuff.
right.
Okay, so we'll go through all of the things we need to tell the audience at the end, but I give you a choice on our stupid video of the week. 1, offensive white pastor rappers, or a man who cannot stay in a canoe.
Do I get to watch both?
You get to watch one of them. You get to choose.
Yeah, let's do it.
Watch both.
Which one?
I haven't seen them.
Well, just choose which one.
He
would you
just
prefer to
he
see?
just wants you to pick randomly.
All
Yeah.
right.
You need to pick- okay.
Oh, so you said white rapper pastors. Yeah,
Offensive.
I think you probably had me there. I mean,
Okay.
Canoe is like, it's almost like the nut shot of boating, right? Is the canoe.
Yeah.
You know
right?
Let's for you, since I love you so much, we'll do both. But let's start with the rap.
Yay!
Yeah, please do. Oh, this is gonna work.
Rapping for Jesus.
Oh, this is gonna work.
I feel reached out to. I need a shower.
Oh, that's insane, dude. Where do you even find such a thing? That's crazy. Where does that exist?
This is an old video for me. Like, this is years ago I saw this, and I remembered it the other day, and then someone posted it today, and I was like, oh, I need to download that again.
Posted it where?
On Twitter somewhere.
Wow. Okay.
Is
Who's
that on
hosting
YouTube
it?
though?
Yeah. Who's
Yes.
hosting it? Is it Odyssey?
No, you said
Hosting-
it's on YouTube.
It was on YouTube.
No, it was. Okay.
All right. We got that off of YouTube. That's y'all. Y'all have that video up.
Oh,
Mm.
that's
So
so
you
weird.
you ready for some canoe?
Yes,
right,
absolutely.
Here
We
we
need
go.
a
I don't think either of these videos is real, though. Right?
That one
So-
I do believe is real.
You think
I
he's actually
had-
struggling?
No, I
Yeah.
know that boy. He was my roommate in college, and that's a real person because a very similar person was my roommate, and he would have exactly acted that way if he were put into water like that. So I believe that
Okay.
that's real. Yeah,
He seemed like he was being a little cheeky at one point. So
yeah, that's his nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
Sassy.
Well,
He's a
I
sass-
mean,
he's
the
a funny bunny,
rappers-
as they say.
the rappers win. If we're saying which one's better, the rappers definitely win.
The rappers
Um,
definitely win.
Did y'all ever see the videos from back in the day, Sassy Gay Friend?
Yes, I'm a big fan of the sassy gay friend videos.
I'm probably gonna bring that in next week, just so you know.
Okay. All right.
Because you just reminded me of it.
Yeah.
So with that, we are nearing the end. So thank you for coming back, Dent. We always
Thank you for having
enjoy seeing your sweet face
It's
on
great
this
seeing
on this
both of
show.
you.
And so
Great
if you
seeing
want
both of you.
if you want to become mutuals with Dent, which is the best part of Twitter, you can find him at Dent in the World on Twitter. And Dent, I can't tell you how many compliments I get on the sound of this show now. Like,
Dude,
constantly.
somebody asked the other day, and I know you chimed in, but I mean that I'm telling you, man, particularly for close miking, that really is the one. It's just such a no-brainer. It's like not even funny.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you want this mic, which is a Shure MV7, which is a fantastic microphone, you can go to zenproaudio.com
That's us.
and buy yourself one from Dent. And that is easily the most important part to me, is if you want a microphone, get it from that guy, because he deserves your business.
Thank you.
Other than that, it's just our stuff to shill now. So for starters, join Rockfin so you can watch all of my old stuff, all of mine and Jessica's old stuff. Screenshot it if you do. Join if you aren't subscribed on Odyssey, on YouTube, on Rockfin. We're doing a raffle, and if you want to win a shirt, we will give away 5. if you show us proof that you have subscribed to the channel. You get one for any free subscription on Odyssey, YouTube, Rockfin. If you buy a membership to Rockfin, where you can hear us, Monica Perez, Sam Tripoli, Jimmy Dore, Mike Cernovich, Scott Adams, all sorts of people. You get your name put in there 3 times. So, you could get 5, your name put in there 5 times. I'm not going to give you 5 shirts, but
you can only win 1 shirt,
Yeah.
but it ups your chances to win the shirt the more times you're in the raffle. You guys know how raffles work. Come on.
So do that and join us there and check out. Oh, wait, let me see. Before I get into the super boring stuff, next week, Natalie Danilishin is coming on from the Mises Institute and the converter of Rob Schneider through Womanly Means. It sounded much worse than I meant it. Following that,
I got no response from her today, but I called her a natural treasure. And I said
so
all
accurate.
I said all 3 of you. But
so Natalie has COVID and she's suffering badly from it. So if you guys are prayers or you just like to think good thoughts for people, spare one for Natalie because she's going through it right now.
Yeah, and we may have to shift some stuff up. So we'll see how she's doing then.
We're flexible.
Past that, we have Mr. Mike Meharry from the 10th Amendment Center. If you believe in decentralization and nullification, also he has a show called Godarchy. He will be on the week after that. Great guy, smart man, wonderful person to talk to. Episode 99 of our show will be Miss Maddie from the Voluntary Vixens, an old friend of mine and a hippie yogi at that. And then after that, it's episode 100. And I'm telling you nothing right now. I'm telling you nothing. I have nothing planned, and that's why I'm telling you nothing. Or I have something great planned. There's no telling. There's no telling. But beyond that, if you want to follow me on Twitter, at Cam Harless. If you want to follow Miss Jessica, it's at Soup Canarchist. All of our shows are available audio, video in several places. If you want to listen to it, any podcatcher, or wearethemadOnes.com, or if you want to hear that mixed with a bunch of other good shows from people who love freedom, mlganetwork.com. We need to update some things, but it's a great place. Beyond that, like I said, subscribe, go to ZenPro Audio and get some coffee from Lorenzotti Coffee. It's great Italian coffee. You can get it whole bean, and I believe you can get it ground, but I've only done whole bean. Because that's just
get the whole bean.
I'm apparently a hipster. But if you go there, lorenzotti.coffee, and buy that coffee, use the promo code TheMadOnes for 10% off, and we get a little cut of that. And so with that, anything else to say to these fine people, Dent?
Find freedom where you can find it now.
Yes, sir.
How about you, Jessica? Any parting words?
No, I gotta pee. I want to get out of here.
Okay. Jessica has to pee. So with that, dear audience, be the glitch that you want to see in the Matrix.